Welcome to Awakening Purple Light. For centuries, we have been told a story of a monkey king born from stone, a gluttonous companion with a rake, and a sacred journey marked by 81 supernatural trials. The tale feels larger than life, filled with demons, magic, and celestial battles. But what if Sun Wukong had never truly existed? If Jubaji were only a symbol, and if the pilgrimage for the scriptures had never involved 81 supernatural trials, then what really happened behind that story? The man literature calls Xuanzang, known in history as the monk Xuanzang, did not have a magical staff to protect him. He had a decision, and that decision could have cost him his life. The 7th century. The Tang Dynasty was at the height of its power. The western borders were tightly controlled because of the risk of conflict with Central Asian forces. Leaving the country without permission was not just an administrative violation. It was a matter of national security. In that context, a young monk named Xuanzang began to question what he was studying. He was born in 602 into a family with a Confucian scholarly tradition. He entered monastic life at an early age. Intelligent, gifted with an exceptional memory, respected among fellow monks. But the more sutras he read, the more he realized an uncomfortable truth. The same philosophical concept could appear in multiple different translations. The same teaching could be explained in contradictory ways. He asked himself, if the foundation of spiritual practice is distorted, where does the entire system lead? Many people told him he did not need to dig that deeply. Buddhism was about practice, not academic debate. But he understood that practice built on misunderstanding could also lead people astray. He requested permission from the imperial court to travel to India in search of original scriptures. The request was denied. The travel ban remained in place. He stood before two paths: stay, safe and respected, continue teaching, or leave without a permit, without guarantees, not even knowing whether he would ever return. In the year 629, he left Chang'an, the capital of the Tang Empire. There was no grand pilgrimage caravan, no disciples, no magic, only one conviction: truth must be verified at its source. And the real journey began there. The western frontier was not a gate opening to freedom. It was a line of division. Behind him lay the Tang Empire, law, order, imperial protection. Ahead lay the western regions, deserts, small city-states, scattered wars, and powers loyal to no one. That night, wind blew sand across the rammed earth walls of the border outpost. Xuanzang was not a fugitive. He was not a wanted criminal. But he knew that if he were discovered leaving without authorization, he would be escorted back, and everything would end. He carried little more than a few robes, limited provisions, and his notes. When he passed the final checkpoint, he did not look back. Not because he was cold-hearted, but because looking back makes it easier to hesitate. The Gobi Desert had no sound, only wind. By day, temperatures made the air shimmer above the sand. By night, the cold drained the warmth from the body. Water was rationed by the sip. A horse was more valuable than gold. At one point, according to his own later records, he lost the merchant route. There were no footprints ahead, no markers. Just an expanse so vast it made a person feel as if they were disappearing. His water supply ran low. His horse slowed. Each step became a calculation for survival. If he stopped too long under the sun, exhaustion would take over. If he chose the wrong direction, there might be no chance to correct it. This was not a mythical trial. It was a probability of death. In that moment, he could have turned back. Turning back still meant a chance to live. But turning back also meant accepting that the questions in his mind would never be answered. He kept walking. Eventually, he reached his first oasis, Gaochang, a city-state along the Silk Road. The king heard that a monk from the Tang Empire had crossed the desert and summoned him. In the grand hall, surrounded by officials and soldiers, Xuanzang held no political power. But he had something else. He spoke about scripture, about philosophy, about discrepancies in translation. The king was persuaded. Xuanzang was offered the position of national religious advisor. No need to take further risks. A man who had just survived the desert might have felt grateful for such an opportunity. but Xuanzang refused. Not because he dismissed the king's hospitality, but because his goal did not lie there. The king was not pleased. Some sources suggest Xuanzang was held for a period of time, not imprisoned, but persuaded in every possible way. In the end, his determination led the king to relent. He was given provisions, he was assigned guides, and he was sent onward. A man who had been offered safety chose to continue into uncertainty. The route across Central Asia was unstable. City-states were influenced by Turkic powers. Authority shifted from year to year. In some places, he was honored. In others, he was suspected of being a spy. He traveled with merchant caravans to avoid bandits, slept in monasteries when possible, and kept himself as unnoticeable as he could. He did not seek attention. He sought information. In every place he asked, "How many monks reside here? Which school of thought is dominant? How are scriptures preserved?" He also witnessed decline. Regions once considered centers of Buddhism now stood with abandoned temples, communities divided by doctrinal disputes. These observations later became the Great Tang Records on the Western regions, not an adventure tale, but a map of knowledge across an entire region. As he moved farther west, he faced another danger: war. Some routes were blocked. Some territories were caught in conflict between rival powers. A solitary monk had no army to protect him. Each step required calculation. Detour or press forward. Wait or continue. One wrong decision could mean vanishing without a trace. History does not record the deaths of those who never return. He could have become one of them, but he kept going. After many years, when he finally set foot on the Indian subcontinent, he did not step into legend. He stepped into intellectual competition. Buddhism was no longer the uncontested dominant force. Brahmanical traditions were strong. Other schools coexisted. Ahead lay Nalanda, but to reach it, he had to prove he was not merely a pilgrim. He had to prove he was a scholar, and that meant facing debates where a single error could discredit him. He had crossed the desert of sand. Now he entered a desert of ideas. There was no wind, but there was logic. No thirst, but pressure. No demons, but sharp minds. And still, he did not turn back. Nalanda was waiting. Nalanda was unlike any place he had seen. It did not have towering walls like Chang'an, no guard posts like the Tang frontier, but it had something more intimidating: academic standards. Thousands of monks resided there, hundreds of teachers, libraries filled with scriptures accumulated over generations. To enter Nalanda required more than sincerity. It required knowledge. Records suggest many applicants from across the world failed the entrance examinations. If your reasoning was weak, you were rejected. Xuanzang was a foreigner. His accent was different, his customs unfamiliar. He had no reputation there. He started from zero. When he met Salabhadra, the great master of the consciousness-only tradition, he did not appear as a legendary figure. He appeared as a student. Salabhadra was already advanced in age and highly respected. When he heard of a monk from the east who had traveled thousands of miles in search of original scriptures, he agreed to teach him. The lessons were demanding. There were no romantic sunsets filled with poetic dialogue. There were hours of dry analysis of terminology, debates about the structure of consciousness stretching late into the night. The consciousness-only doctrine was not simple. It proposed that the world humans experience is not an independently existing absolute reality, but is constructed through processes of consciousness, not just surface thoughts, but a system of 8 layers of consciousness, including storehouse consciousness and karmic seeds. Misunderstand one concept, and the entire framework collapses. Xuanzang did not merely take notes. He asked questions. He requested clarification. At times, he did not immediately agree. Salabhadra was not lenient with students. If an argument was insufficient, he rejected it. If an explanation was vague, he demanded proof. Nalanda did not grant recognition for enthusiasm. It granted recognition for ability. After years of study, the monk from China was no longer an outsider. He participated in public debates. In 7th century India, philosophical debate was a major event. Scholars from different schools gathered, arguments were presented, counter-arguments followed immediately. Losing was not merely personal embarrassment, it affected the reputation of an entire school. Xuanzang stood within that circle. No monkey king to defend him, no supernatural powers. Only language, only logic. Records indicate he won several major debates, was invited to teach, and was respected as a genuine scholar. But success did not stop him. He had not come to remain in India. He had come to bring knowledge back. Years passed, one after another. He traveled to major Buddhist sites, Lumbini, Bodh Gaya, Sarnath, and Kushinagar, not to ask for miracles, but to observe. In some places, Buddhism flourished. In others, it declined. He documented carefully the number of monks, the condition of monasteries, the influence of other religions. He understood the world does not stand still. Buddhism was not unchanging. His records were not written to embellish. They were meant to preserve reality. After nearly 17 years, he faced another decision: stay and continue teaching at Nalanda, where he was now recognized, or return, carrying hundreds of scriptures, once again facing borders and political risk. Staying meant safety and international prestige. Returning meant retracing a dangerous path, transporting heavy volumes of text across war-torn regions. He chose to return, not out of nostalgia, but because he had not finished what he started. He began the journey back with a larger entourage. No longer alone as when he left Chang'an, but no less at risk. The chests of scriptures became valuable cargo, and anything valuable along the Silk Road could attract bandits. Each stage was a test, not of faith, but of endurance. He was no longer a young monk. Time and climate had left marks on his body, but his resolve had not changed. As he approached the east, news of him traveled ahead. A monk from the Tang Empire who had spent 17 years in India and was returning with original Sanskrit scriptures. This was no longer a personal story. It had become an event. And ahead of him was not only Chang'an, ahead was a meeting with power. When his procession entered Chang'an, it was not a military triumph. There were no spoils of war, no prisoners, only heavy wooden chests. Inside were Sanskrit scriptures, manuscripts, Buddha statues, and notes from nearly 2 decades. News had already reached the capital. A monk who had left without permission had returned with hundreds of original texts. The court could not ignore this. The meeting between Xuanzang and Emperor Taizong was both political and personal. On one side stood a man who had once left the empire without approval. On the other stood the ruler of the most powerful empire in East Asia. The story could have ended with punishment. Instead, it unfolded differently. Emperor Taizong did not see a violator. He saw a source of knowledge, an opportunity to strengthen the cultural authority of the Tang Dynasty. Xuanzang did not recount the desert as legend. He presented scholarship. He spoke of Nalanda, of Silabhadra, of the consciousness-only system, of inaccuracies in existing Chinese translations. The emperor listened and decided to sponsor him. At the Great Tang Monastery in Chang'an, a translation center was established. It was not merely a monastery. It functioned like an academy. Scholars proficient in classical Chinese, monks fluent in Sanskrit, editors specializing in textual correction. Xuanzang stood at the center. Each scripture was read in original Sanskrit, every term explained, compared against varying manuscripts, debated for appropriate rendering. Some concepts had no equivalent in Chinese. Some terms could not be translated directly. Simplify too much, and meaning would distort. Preserve Sanskrit sounds unchanged, and readers would not understand. He had to choose, and each choice carried long-term consequences. He did not work by inspiration. He worked by discipline. Records suggest he spent many hours each day in the translation hall, sleeping little, personally reviewing manuscripts. He did not try to make himself famous. He focused on accuracy, because he understood that one wrong word could mislead generations. Not everyone agreed with him. Before his return, Chinese Buddhism had already developed multiple schools. Certain interpretations were deeply rooted in practice and tradition. The introduction of a rigorous consciousness-only framework could disrupt the balance. There were debates. There was criticism. He did not respond with authority. He responded with reasoning. He composed a treatise on the establishment of consciousness only, systematizing what he had learned in India and presenting it in a structure accessible to East Asian scholars. This was no longer a personal journey. It was a reconstruction of understanding. In the novel Journey to the West, the story ends when the scriptures are brought home. In reality, that was only the beginning. The desert journey lasted 17 years. The translation work lasted nearly 2 decades. He did not build a personal sect to compete for influence. He did not seek political power. He worked quietly, continuously. His legacy was not an army. It was a standard that religious knowledge must be verified. That translation cannot be careless. That faith and intellect are not opposites. In 664, Xuanzang passed away. There were no miracles in the sky, no supernatural signs, only an absence felt within the scholarly world. But what he left behind continued to spread. His influence extended beyond China, to Korea, to Japan. The consciousness-only system became one of the foundations of East Asian Buddhism. The Great Tang Records on the Western regions became an essential historical and geographical source for 7th century Central Asia and India. A monk accomplished what many statesmen could not. He connected civilizations through knowledge. This story does not need demons to be great. It needs determination. A man who left the most powerful empire of his time without permission. A man who dared to say that existing knowledge was not accurate enough. A man who devoted most of his life to ensuring that when others read scripture, they were reading something as close to the original as possible. Not everyone must cross a desert, but everyone faces a choice. Accept what you believe without verification, or step beyond your comfort zone to seek truth at its source. In your opinion, what truly changes history, inspiring legends, or individuals who quietly rebuild the foundations of knowledge? If this story has changed how you see the pilgrimage for the scriptures, leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to keep exploring the real stories behind the cultural symbols of the East, please like and subscribe to join the journey.